Just ask for a couple minutes of your time and attention. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. My name is P4W3. I'm one of the founders of Ocean Protocol. We're very happy to be here with Oasis. I just got three things to say. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. It's great to have you here in Singapore. It's a fantastic city. It's a great place for crypto, and we're happy to be here. We're going to be in Asia a little bit more in the future. I just got three things. Number one is we've been working with Oasis deeper and deeper, and as we work with Oasis, we realize that there's a small group of people who are really working on tech to build out Web3 for the rest of the world, whether they know it or not. And so for you guys to be here and be part of the builders as well as the community really makes a big difference for us and stuff like that. So we have two products that we're working very deeply with Oasis on. One is Predictor. It's a trading tool using AI to help people buy and sell crypto, but it's better than just your typical technical analysis and stuff like that. Predictor is one of our products. Second one is Ocean Node. Within 8 weeks, we've had 21,000 nodes sign up, deploy the package. Now that network is like an L1.5, and we'll be putting compute, storage, analytics, and these types of things on it very soon. And so thank you for if any of you are running those. So that's number one. Number two is we are running an online hackathon right now. It's running for the next, I believe, 6 weeks. It ends in mid-November where we announce the winner in Bangkok.
In Bangkok with Oasis, with Numer AI, with SingularityNet, and the Artificial Superintelligence Group. So if you are going to be in Bangkok for ETHBKK, sign up to our event. We'll have about 500 folks there. We rented out a hotel, and it's going to be neuroscience, brain-computer interfaces, living forever, as well as a lot of like workshops, hackathons and such. And we got some really cool stuff. So it's really AI focused. How can you have a super life in a future with AI? And we, unlike all the doomsayers in the media, we believe in something very optimistic. We think that with AI, all of you, whether your IQ is 70, 90, or 110, you're going to have AI-enabled devices, brain-computer interfaces. I'll give you IQs of 140, 150, and we hope that you are the initial wave that helps bring this out to the rest of humanity. So thank you very much. We have the next talk coming up right now.
Diana, is everyone coming up here right now? Or can they just sit right here? Okay. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today for our hackathon kickoff event. We're joined here today with our partners from Ocean, as you just met, Pixel Realms, Aether, is that how you pronounce it? Yes. 01 Labs, DDOB, and Apollon. So, as you can see, this is the hackathon kickoff event. The start date is today. It's going to go until November 1st, with a judging period from the 1st to the 10th, where the winners will be then announced. And we have $130,000 in prizes, thanks to all the tracks sponsored by our great partners here. So the Oasis bounty covers 30,000 USD. You can build on any of the following to qualify. So that's the Oasis Sapphire network, leveraging any of the network's native confidentiality features. And I'll be giving a talk later. To explain some of those features and how it works. Actually, I'll be explaining all of these. But anything built natively on Sapphire, leveraging confidentiality, will apply. Any application using Raffle to extend Sapphire confidentiality and or verify off-chain compute. And then any application that uses cross-chain messaging via the Oasis privacy layer to sort of build composable dApps that exist on two networks, where maybe they leverage the confidentiality from Oasis Sapphire and then the transparent compute from other EVM networks. So categories that we suggest building in include DeFi. So for that, you can introduce confidential compute to improve existing DeFi protocols, or leverage it to build novel applications that previously were impossible. Some use cases that people have built in the past include dark pools or sealed bid auctions, as Pixel Realms can talk about later maybe. AI agents. This is something that's made possible with Raffle. But basically, some things that people are interested in building are storing the agent private keys on chain with access controls, or within a confidential smart contract. They can use Raffle to verify the off-chain agent workloads. Verified credentials or DID. You can use encrypted storage and confidential compute. Basically, something that people have built in the past. Oh, there's a typo. But create like a confidential soulbound token where the owner can grant or revoke access to their private data, which I think is very exciting and novel. Gaming, and again, I'll be going over all these in more detail during the Sapphire talk, but just some ideas. So bring confidential game logic on chain. Right now, again, with Pixel Realms. Okay, I'm trying. Sorry, guys. Bring confidential game logic on chain. For example, building games with on-chain fog of war mechanics, on-chain riddles, puzzles, quests, or on-chain card games. And then once again, using Raffle maybe to bring bespoke and private data via HTTPS sessions. Some other ideas that we won't go into in as much, but using it for account abstraction, trustless cryptography, encrypted metadata, key management. You can also, if you're like not interested in building dApps, but are interested in helping with the native network infrastructure, you can evaluate sort of the Sapphire token standards, the libraries, the SDKs, things like XERC20, ERC7281. Discover new Raffle implementations that we haven't suggested here. Honestly, there's a lot possible that isn't possible on other Web3 networks that we can do for this hackathon. So hopefully it's very exciting for everybody. So just a few more slides on ours, but what to submit: a demo video up to 3 minutes long, a text description explaining the features and functionality of your projects, an open source GitHub repository with a complete README. This is something that people haven't done in the past, but hopefully, this hackathon, people will make sure they have these READMEs. A way to test the project, including a link to the app or testing instructions. And then, just complete it by November 1st, and we're excited to see what everybody builds. So these are our partners. You can see here, we have Ocean, we have DDOB, we have 01 Labs, Pixel Realm, Applon, and Aether. And they're going to join me and explain a little bit more, starting with Ocean, I believe.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's a real honor to see so many people joining us, and hopefully you will have brilliant ideas to build on our stacks. With Ocean, we recently launched the Ocean Nodes. I'm not sure about how many of you are aware of this, but I'm gonna flex a bit and say that we currently have almost 22,000 people that installed, deployed, and played with our new tech. For the hackathon, we invite you to explore all of our previous ideas. We are a pretty old project. We started with data sharing, and now we are focusing on compute, AI model training, and creating decentralized algorithms on private data. We provide you with a lot of templates, showcases, and ideas that you can start from. But ideally, from my point of view, try to be original, and sky's the limit. We will offer support on Discord, so if you have questions or want to test your ideas, we can do so without the fear of somebody else taking your idea. Like Bruce said, this hackathon will end on 11 November. So we invite you all in Bangkok, where we will have hopefully very interesting event. I will invite you to follow our social media pages, and you will find a lot more information there. Thank you. The prize pool is 20K USD. The first place will have $10,000, second place $6,000, and third place $4,000. And obviously, the winners have a real chance to get a lot of benefits from our team, meaning potential further grants. So after the 10K prize, you can receive more grants, and not only that, but a lot of help from our team members. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're excited to see everyone innovate not only on Oasis, but also using the Ocean protocol and their data nodes. So the next two are two sponsors that unfortunately couldn't make it to Token 2049. The first one is DDOB. DDOB specializes in smart contract and security auditing. They're our preferred partner for the Oasis network. They've already audited most of the dApps that have launched, including the Illuminex Confidential AMM, the Vine Money CDP platform, and the Nebi Uniswap v3 DEX. So this is a great partner. They're one of the few that I would say have a technological understanding of how to audit confidential smart contracts. And yeah, so we're excited to have them join us, where they will be offering a reward to the top 5 teams for a $2,000 audit credit with their platform. The second sponsor that I'll be covering that wasn't able to make it is 01 Labs. 01 Labs is a decentralized AI ecosystem leader promoting AI innovation through their incubator and proof of stake mechanisms to support open source developers. They recently incubated some really successful products, including SeraphNet and Nexus Auction. They will be offering a $5,000 bounty for submissions which develop decentralized AI apps on the Oasis Sapphire network, including areas such as machine learning algorithms, predictive analytics, secure data sharing, automated decision making, and really anything that you can think of. And next we have Sam from Pixel Realm joining us, going over their sponsored track.
Yes, I'll try. Hey everyone, Sam from Pixel Realm. First of all, thank you Oasis for giving me this spirit animal to support me during my speech. Yeah, we deployed on Pixel Realm this year. We deployed on Oasis Sapphire this year. We are partners. We established a gaming ecosystem backed by Binance Labs. We have around 120K users. We launched 100 plus projects. And recently we got together with Oasis and we're figuring out how essential is privacy for gaming or parts of gaming. What that means, it's kind of like even me, like being in gaming, when I heard about like privacy in gaming, I was just like, oh, why would I care? But then when I heard the use cases, it started to hit me like a lot of on-chain games, turns out to be like a turn-based strategy games. Well, you have no fog of war without privacy. If you want to have a card game on chain, like once again, like everybody, you can read your hand basically without having some sort of privacy. So having these features inside of the games, inside of some genres seems to be super essential. We even have here one of our contender for the Grand, it's a GTA clone, Grand Gangster City, which is actually a GTA game, but they decided to do a mini game, a companion app, which would be running on Oasis Sapphire, so that they can hide some of the features. So even if the whole game doesn't run on Oasis, you can still leverage the privacy to have the mini games, to have the companion app there. And what we will be doing as a Pixel Realm to support, we will be providing for top 3 projects. We will be providing full incubation. So it has to be full incubation for everybody because it only makes sense when it's full. We cannot go halfway with it. What that means, we will get you in front of the top gaming. So you will get the players from Web 2. You will get the players from Web 3. You will get technical support, all that boring stuff that needs to be running on the background, like wallet abstraction, like getting those things into your game, getting the press support, getting you on the relevant Twitter spaces, getting you in the relevant gaming press. basically, like a lot of Web 2 games come to us and they don't know how to get into Web 3, and the Web 3 games come to us and they don't know what to do after they do their usual airdrop and everything's farmed and everybody's gone. So we're covering both of these angles, and of course, you will get like a sort of like a red phone hotline into our Pixel Realm for all the advisory, for extended partnerships. Like, we're going above and beyond. One of our games, like literally, we were approached by like Star Atlas a few days ago. They're like, hey, do you want to present your game on our event? I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to go there and present our incubated game. Like, why wouldn't I? So we go above and beyond to get your game out there, to get the technical support it deserves, and get in front of the right people. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm glad that sort of our marketing for where privacy fits to on-chain gaming has hit. So yeah, thank you, and we're excited to have you as part of our hackathon. Next up is Aether.
Thank you. Hey guys, this is Sheet from Aether. Let's take a sense check of the room. A show of hands, how many of you have heard of Aether before? That's decent number of people, but basically what Aether does is we're solving for the GPU scarcity problem. So you can think of us as an enterprise-grade, decentralized GPU provider running a marketplace for AI and gaming dApps. What we do is we aggregate GPU resources from data centers, from enterprises, from data mining operations even, and kind of plug it into our platform for all the compute demand that we have from AI and gaming dApps, right? You can think of it as, walking into a restaurant and looking at a menu and ordering. So what you order here is GPUs. You can select the number, the type, the location, the duration, and instead of using a credit card, you just use ATH, which is our native currency. We have close to 45,000 in top shelf GPUs. We recently also did a successful node sale, selling close to 75,000 nodes licenses. There's a huge community that we support. Earlier this quarter, we entered into a partnership with Oasis, kind of joining forces in supporting startups that are privacy focused and want to be building in the conjecture of AI and gaming and Web3. We are very excited to partner with Oasis in general because, there's a huge overlap with the kind of dApps we're trying to support. And we'll be the official compute providers for this hackathon. We're announcing a prize pool of 15K USD in compute credits. And this would be eligible for the top 10 winners that will be participating in the hackathon. So really excited to see all the applications. And if you have any questions about GPUs in general, I'm right there at the back. Happy to kind of meet you all in person. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much to our partner Aether. Those H100s are going to be really exciting, and I think are going to be really useful for anyone building any Raffle applications in this hackathon. Next up is Apollon.
Test. Hi guys, really nice to see you here. My name is Nino and I'm a Chief Product Officer at Apollon. I'm not going to go too deep what Apollon is all about. So we're basically a Web3 development platform. Imagine Firebase on Web3. So if you're an engineer, check us out. But what I want to talk a little bit about today are embedded wallets. So we are releasing a new feature. It's an SDK to build embedded wallets, which basically solves what we believe the biggest problem of adoption in Web3. So all of you know, if you are trying to enter Web3 and you do not have a wallet ready, usually you're gonna see either mnemonics or private keys, or you're not gonna have your own custody. So with our SDK, you can utilize basically passkey, whether on your computer, whether on your phone, and the wallet is automatically created in the background. Now, this is all possible because of Oasis, and this is also why we are here. I would like to thank Oasis as our partner, And not only that they're a great partner and they have great technology, they're also very great people. And this is what we were able to build. Unfortunately, I cannot demo this to you guys here on the stage, but I do have my laptop with me. So if you're interested to see how these wallets work, please just come to me and I will show it to you. It's really simple. It's 3 clicks and you are in, and it's self-custodial. So going forward, we are also part of this hackathon, and we've listed some of the ideas of how we could improve this. You can read the ideas. I'm not going to read this for you. If you scan the code, you will drop into our Git repo. So this is the basis of what you will need to enter the hackathon. And our prize pool is listed on the right side. So first place, $3,000, second, $1,500, and third place, $500 USD. Thank you very much. And thank you again, Oasis, for having us. Cheers.
Thank you, Nino. So that's it for our sponsors. I hope everyone was excited to hear about, these different tracks that are available to you. So basically the way that it will work is everyone who submits will be eligible for the Oasis track. And then if you think that you qualify, whether it's with Pixel Realms, whether it's with Aether, or Ocean, or Apollon, you sort of select that you want to be part of that track as well. And then those will have those extra bounties, those extra prizes through our sponsors. So thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I hope everyone has an exciting time in this hackathon and we can build some really cool, innovative things. Next up, I think we're going to have a talk from Ocean on how their data nodes work.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Try this one.
Hey.
There we go.
Hey guys, I'm Alex. I'm VP of Engineering at Ocean, and today we are going to talk about Ocean Nodes. First of all, how many of you already heard about Ocean Nodes? All right, nice. So before speaking about Ocean Node, I see some builders here, so let's talk a bit about our previous stack. And we had a lot of components: Aquarius, provider, subgraph, and yeah. Okay, thank you. And basically, what we found out is that in order to run all those components, you need a lot of DevOps expertise. You need fixed IP addresses, DNS, SSL certificates. All that was pretty much hurdle for our users. And we decided, let's scrap that and write a new backend. And we also had some incentive problems, because initially we thought, everybody's going to run their own components, but we didn't have incentives. So we ended up pretty much everyone using Ocean components, like Aquarius deployed by Ocean Protocol, provider, and stuff like that. And for that, we designed Ocean Node, which is the new backend of Ocean, and it basically has 4 functions. It's going to provide token gating, so you are going to be able to monetize your content. It's going to do DDO caching, on-chain event caching, and also is going to offer computer data services. All that in one single repo. And just to ease UX and take some hurdle off the DevOps, we made it using P2P, which means that you don't care about network anymore. You just spin a node and that's it. It's going to automatically find other nodes in the network. It's going to connect with them. It's going to exchange capabilities, all that under the hood. You don't need to do anything. And obviously, it's going to support multiple CPU architectures. ARM CPUs are much cheaper these days, so it's going to be much more cost efficient to run a node. We are going to support multiple databases types, storage types. And this is pretty much the architecture of Ocean Node. On the left side, you have basically the input, or how are you going to connect to Ocean Node. It's either P2P, HTTP. You will also have WebSockets, gRPC. So pretty much you are going to be able to connect your DApp using any of those type of connections. And then you have internal components and obviously the modules. We have a modular architecture. You can always extend it by adding new functionality. Earlier I was talking about deployment. So yeah, it was a hurdle. You had to deploy like 4 components. Now you are going to have ready images in pretty much all major cloud providers: AWS, GCP, Azure. You also have Docker images ready. If you want to run it on-prem, you are just going to run a script. That's it. You are going to input some info. That's it. Like less than 30 seconds to run a node. And this is the most typical setup of nodes. You have a big network of public nodes. All those nodes are talking with each other, exchanging data, sharing data. But one other setup, it's private nodes. Imagine on the right side, imagine an auto manufacturer which is going to install Ocean Node in each of those cars. Obviously, those nodes are not going to be reachable by public internet, but you can use one of the nodes as a relay server. So out of a sudden, from, I don't know, maybe thousands, 10 of thousands of nodes, we are going to end up with billions of nodes running in the network. All of those nodes are going to provide data sharing and compute to data services. And speaking about node types, I already said that there are a lot of functionality. Obviously, it makes sense for some nodes to be light, like the nodes which are running inside the car, and sometimes you need more than that. So you can have a light node, you can have private nodes. Basically, you are going to run your own private network on top of Ocean nodes, sharing data inside the corporate, for instance, or public nodes and make your data public. Obviously, with access control, monetizing, and all that. One of the other components is the indexer. You need to be able to cache all the on-chain events. You need to be able to search for them. Just using the blockchain is not fast enough. By using a cache component, basically we reduce the query time to a couple of milliseconds, which is going to be perfect for any type of DApp. And, sorry, compute to data. The previous version of compute to data was heavy. It has a lot of functions, but it was heavy because it required Kubernetes. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to have such a complex architecture for simple jobs. Again, I'm going to take that car example. If you have a car that's going to produce data by using the braking system, the doors, stuff like that, you don't need Kubernetes to do some analytics on that type of data. It's just a light node, most likely using Docker, and you are just going to gather, analyze the data, and just push it back to the cloud. Obviously, you are going to need some more complex operations like multi-staging, and you are going to use Kubernetes. The thing is that we have multiple options. It really, really depends on your use case. And as I was saying, you are going to have light nodes with compute to data. You are going to have private networks with GPUs, I don't know, thousands of GPUs. All that is going to be exposed to the network. Basically, as a data scientist, you are going to be able to choose what type of job do you want to run. I need GPUs, I need CPUs, and you are going to pay accordingly. Obviously, if we are going to talk about encrypting data, we need to take care of the private keys. And obviously, the easiest solution is to have local key management. Each node is going to have its own private key, usually defined by an environment variable, and the node is just going to encrypt data using that key. If you are going to trust your hardware, you can use TPM or hardware HSM. But that's not really decentralized. So if you really want decentralized, we are going to use multi-party compute and trusted execution environment. Multi-party compute means that we are going to store the one private key between multiple nodes. So no node can have the full private key. And using TE, meaning that we are going to do encryption, decryption in the TE enclave. So not even the system operator is going to be able to access the data. And one step in that direction is to use Sapphire, which is a confidential EVM. Will is going to talk about it later. The idea, and definitely you are going to use this in the hackathon, is to store the private keys in a smart contract. Because Sapphire is an EVM, confidential EVM, meaning that nobody is going to have access to smart contract private data. And this is how we're going to do it. We are going to store the private key in the smart contract. And as a publisher, you are going to define a list of nodes that are going to be able to decrypt and fetch the data. You can use your own list. You can use a list created by another entity if you trust that entity. It's up to you. Speaking about nodes at the beginning, we launched Ocean Nodes 3 weeks ago. And I'm super happy to report that today we had more than 22,000 nodes running in the network, which is huge. And just by looking at the map, we have nodes in the Pacific. We have nodes in Hawaii. So a big thank you to the community. And that's it. Thank you. Will, I think you are next. Will? Let's take a small break.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So now I'm just going to go over a little bit more about what the confidential EVM is, what you can do with Oasis, and how things work a bit underneath the hood. This will be the last talk for today. So yeah, hopefully it should be enlightening. So to start with Sapphire as a confidential EVM, we should go over the Oasis network itself. Oasis has a modular architecture, similar to, I guess, how ETH2 eventually got implemented, where we have an underlying consensus chain, which is sort of analogous to the beacon chain on ETH2. And then on top of that, we have parallel runtimes. We call them paratimes, but they can be thought of essentially as rollups, submitting attestations to the consensus layer. We have 3 right now. We have Cypher, Emeralds, and Sapphire. But for today's conversation, we'll be focusing on Sapphire, as that's the focus of the hackathon. So what is Sapphire and what is a confidential EVM? It's basically or how does the confidential EVM work? Basically, Sapphire runs where all nodes run using trusted execution environments, Intel SGX, but we're adding support for TDX and H100s, as well as potentially some AMD solutions as well, to sort of decentralize the different trusted execution environments that are possible. What a trusted execution environment is, though, is essentially a black box that the nodes run. So basically, the node operators can't see inside what's being done, what kind of compute is being done. So when people submit transactions, it's by default encrypted. It goes inside the black box, it gets decrypted, and within that black box, now that it's decrypted, it just runs as a normal EVM. And then the outputs are re-encrypted on the output side, based on like the parameters of the smart contracts and the developers and the users and what their preferences are. And in this way, this is how we achieve, privacy that has a little bit more scalable, as well as which has the flexibility to build really compelling dApps. So this is just a diagram that goes over how sort of keys work. When you build with the Oasis Paratime SDK, each contract is encrypted using a different key. The isolated key manager then improves security by segregating the key access among the key manager and the nodes involved in it. The key value database stores the encrypted data. And then, basically, this is what grants access to certain data to certain users or certain smart contracts based on the access controls that are set forth by the key manager. So this is, again, just a diagram going over how the confidential transactions work. And I promise this is the last tech-heavy side. But so the first step is that we generate a client key pair within Node.js, MetaMask, the Oasis CLI, something along those lines. Then we send ephemeral Paratime public key to the Oasis key manager. And then we also encrypt and submit the transaction to the Oasis Net Paratime compute node. The compute node then interacts with the Oasis key manager to get the ephemeral key, the Paratime secret contract state key pair. And then this is basically the encrypted transaction result is sent back to the clients at the end of all of this. And that's how confidential transactions work. And this essentially, because of this, the way that the keys are generated and then shared with users based on the preferences, this is what gives Oasis the flexibility and privacy to build these dApps that can leverage confidential compute as well as confidential transactions. So what's the benefit of this? At Oasis, we like to say that dApps can be built that are either completely transparent, completely confidential, or anywhere on the spectrum in between. And I think this is really important. It's something that's not really possible with like ZK today. With ZK, you sort of get binary. It's either anonymous or it's public. But what we see is in 99% of like real world use cases, you need something that's on the spectrum in between, right? So for example, if you want to build Web3 Facebook, right? If Facebook has the ability to block users, right? You have friends and then you have people who don't have access to your content. On transparent Web3 networks, this doesn't work. Basically, everyone has access to everything. Another example would be Uber, right? So if you have a Web3 version of Uber, there's like 3 different components that involve confidentiality in the Web2 version of Uber. You have your GPS location. You probably don't want anyone anywhere in the world to know exactly where you've been. You have the payments that are confidential between you and Uber, and only you and Uber can see it. And then you have sort of the messages that you have with your driver, if there's any issues and stuff like that. Again, within like the Web2 worlds, these are all confidential. But on normal transparent Web3 applications, this would not be possible. And so what Sapphire does is it allows for the flexibility to keep these aspects confidential while keeping other aspects that maybe you want transparent to be transparent. And, as I said, I use Facebook, I used Uber, but if you really think about any Web2 application, it exists somewhere on the spectrum in between. Nothing is completely anonymous, nothing is completely transparent. And if we want Web3 to compete with the sort of sophistication of applications, as well as the user experience of applications, we need to have this flexibility. And I think that's really the power of Sapphire and what it offers, and hopefully what people will explore in this hackathon. So this is a slide that I went over earlier in terms of the use cases we'd like to see in the hackathon. I said I would explain it in a little bit more detail. So I'll go over this now. But so, for example, how would DeFi work with Sapphire? So one dApp that exists right now is called Illuminex. They're a confidential AMM. They use Sapphire confidentiality to hide the mempool. That's one use case. So they have MEV resistance due to hiding the mempool. Additionally, though, they have the ability to have wrappers for their confidential tokens. And therefore, you can have confidential swaps. But at the same time, Illuminex wants to be compliant, right? They don't want to go the same way as Tornado Cash. So Illuminex also has a backdoor where if they ever get like subpoenaed by OFAC or the SEC or something like that, they can reveal a particular address's schemes. So you have the confidentiality that you would normally have. But if you're doing illegal things, if you're misusing Illuminex also has the right, and it's very transparent with this, that they have the right to share your data if they so choose. Now that's something they would hopefully not have to do, but it's because of this sort of flexibility that we're moving into more of what the Web 2 space looks like. In Web 2, if you make a trade on the stock exchange, no one else can see it. But at the same time, if E-Trade or one of these trading applications decides that you're doing sketchy things, they can share that with regulatory bodies. And so this is something that flexibility with Sapphire allows. I won't go over all of these, but verified credentials is another area. So with Sapphire, we can expand what can be done with verified credentials. So we can take the idea of Vitalik soulbound token, right? And instead we can make it into a confidential soulbound token. So it's a soulbound token where the data is only accessible to you. And then from then on, you can essentially grant and revoke access to that data. That can be revoked. That can be granted and revoked to a person or a wallet address or even a smart contract address. So, for example, imagine that you have a launchpad. The launchpad wants to make sure that some 7 blacklisted countries can't participate in the launch of a token. And they also want to make sure that the people that are participating in the launch are above the age of 18. That data can be stored in your confidential soulbound token. And then when you try to access the launchpad, a request can be sent to your soulbound token to grant access to compute on it. You can submit this transaction saying yes, let them compute on my data, and then a Boolean expression can be released, a 0 or 1 or a yes or a no, saying yes, these people meet this criteria, no, these people don't meet this criteria. And in that way, it's saying no, they're not part of the some 7 blacklisted countries. Yes, they're above the age of 18, but their actual nationality or place of residency, as well as their age, is not released. And so we get privacy preserving applications with added functionality and user experiences. And the final example is gaming. Sam went over this a bit earlier, but I think gaming is a great use case. So again, if you think about any compelling Web 2 game, whether it's a card game, a strategy game, a role-playing game, it normally involves some aspect of confidential compute, right? Strategy games have this idea of fog of war, which again, not possible on Web 3, but is possible on most Web 3 networks that are transparent, but is possible on Sapphire. Card games, you have to not know what the other player's cards are. You also have to not know what card is coming up next. So with transparent networks where everything is able to be seen, you would be able to, there wouldn't really be a game. You would just see what the other player is doing, and then you would counter that. So this is something that you can achieve on Sapphire. You can build a truly on-chain card game. And then even, role-playing games normally have quests, riddles, puzzles, which is, again, is hard in normal Web3 games because the solutions to the puzzles would be transparent. So these are all things that you could do with Sapphire and the confidential framework, where you have this sort of spectrum of what can be done with flexibility. So expanding on that, that was all Sapphire native stuff. We also have this idea of Opal, which is the Oasis privacy layer. Basically, the idea of the Oasis privacy layer is one which leverages cross-chain messaging in order to build modular games. So imagine you have that same role-playing game I was just talking about on Polygon or BNB. And maybe you don't want to move your entire game over to Sapphire because That's where the users are. That's where you built your game. And it's cumbersome to relaunch an entire game on a different network. But instead, maybe you want to just add one riddle. So you can add that riddle to Sapphire and then connect it to your game that's already running on Polygon or BNB through cross-chain messaging. So the sort of user experience would look something like you are playing your game on Polygon. You get to the point where you have to solve some riddle. MetaMask would automatically switch over to Sapphire. You'd submit your encrypted solution to the riddle. The Sapphire smart contract would check if that solution is correct. And if it is correct, it would send a message over a messaging bridge back to Polygon where you would unlock your NFT reward or your on-chain gaming experience or something along those lines. And then you would just keep playing on Polygon until the next time you have to solve a riddle. And so in that way, you can build modular games that have confidentiality, but it can exist on sort of any network. And this is really what's exciting about Opal. So this is just a diagram of basically explaining what I was just talking about. But you say you can have your basically home network, messages that pass through the messaging bridge to the Sapphire contract, and then connect with the users via a DApp. And then one thing I didn't talk about is you can even include something like gas relayers where you pay with, like, let's say Matic token, right? And this way the sort of Sapphire network is completely abstracted away from the user. They're paying for their transaction on Sapphire with Matic, so they don't even need to acquire the native Rose token to do so. This slide is just going over more of what I was just talking about. And then the final sort of new implementation of what can be done with Sapphire is what we call runtime off-chain logic, or something that we have given the name ROFL to. So what is ROFL? ROFL is a framework which extends to runtimes like Sapphire with support for off-chain components. What that means is it makes it more flexible. It allows for more flexible computation. It allows for more complex computation. It allows for a computation that's non-deterministic, which is impossible to do on-chain. So, and then it allows access to remote network resources. So, like, for example, like something like an HTTPS session, you can take the data from that HTTPS session and use it as like an oracle or a data source for one of your applications. The really, like, I guess, innovative thing about this is that these components are secured by the same Oasis TEs, consensus layer, and decentralized validator set. That is native to Sapphire, meaning that you can transparently run ROFL and that there's no need to install anything new. Just the Oasis core nodes and runtime bundles currently being run by node operators are the only requirement. So this is currently live on Sapphire, but it can be extended to any confidential network. For example, our Cypher network might have an implementation coming soon as well. So this is just a diagram going over what that is, but you can see that basically the ROFL acts as an intermediary where you can have HTTPS sessions. You can take data from even like ETH2, ETH 2.0, or a different Ethereum network, Bitcoin, via light clients. So what that means is you can actually be reading the Ethereum 2.0 network, or you can be reading the Bitcoin network to send messages to Sapphire, and then Sapphire smart contracts can act on that data and then make transactions directly on the ETH 2.0 or Bitcoin network via this framework. And then again, you can access remote APIs through HTTPS and again have the on-chain logic make use of that data. So these are like some initial use cases of oracles, bridges, intent solvers, and even AI can make use of this. So again, just going over use cases, decentralized AI and autonomous agents, oracles, bridges, light clients, intense solvers and chain abstraction. It can be used for defense in depth for decentralized sequences and ZK provers, and much more. Honestly, we think that ROFL can be used in just like an extraordinary amount of ways, and we're excited to see what people do in this hackathon. So ROFL helps extend the sophistication and user experience that are capable for Web3 dApps. As an industry, we may better compete with the functionality that currently exists in Web2. So hopefully that gives a brief overview of Sapphire raffle, and the Oasis privacy layer. And if you have any other questions, you can meet me if you're here. And if you're accessing this conversation or this talk remotely, please jump in our Discord. We have tons of team members who are happy to help and explain things and help you guys build for this hackathon. So hope everybody has a great rest of the events. And yeah, come talk to me.
Don't put your hand over this.
All right. Get yourself some food and make yourself comfortable for the last panel.
Any specific order? Sorry? Any specific order you're sitting? There's like a picture of the panel? I don't know. Usually what I would ask, do you have a specific order where to sit with the pictures behind? But we don't usually put the poster on of the panel, you know, the banner. And then like you sit according to like, so people know who's, okay. When people very good strategy. Sorry. You can do what the portion does, like just for the yeah, the third one is just.
All right. Good to be here, everyone. Thanks for coming. This is going to be the last panel of the day. We're going to be talking about some of the topics that you guys might be aware, but we're going to dive into the details of decentralized AI, the intersection between blockchains, which we've seen and heard for many years, and AI, how those two are coming together. So we've got a really good lineup. We've got William Wendt, head of ecosystem at Oasis Network, and Ludwig Trapp, co-founder of Magnet Labs here. So give a quick round of applause. Woo-hoo! That's good. Nice. All right, so we've all seen the kind of the last 18 months have been really going really fast. You know, like I think there's been over 50 L1s doing AI related stuff. The availability of block space is all-time high. Let's maybe quickly go through, you know, what is, in your opinion, the current state of decentralized AI? But even before that, what do you guys think is the definition of decentralized AI? Because everyone sees that slightly differently.
So maybe let me first with your second question then. Decentralized AI is basically based on decentralized distributed principles like we know it from other industry, like decentralized storage, decentralized exchanges, etc. And we're talking about decentralization along the entire value chain. So we have different players, especially in AI systems. We have data providers, we have computing providers, model builders, all of that. And decentralized AI basically tries to decentralize all of those different components to provide an AI system which is more open, which is inclusive, which is driven via a consent, and by our community. The second question, the current state.
Yeah, just the
Okay.
current state.
Well, I think both of those technologies, blockchain and AI, are super fast-paced. Both of them play a super important role in the digital landscape right now. I almost feel when the very first trend of AI and blockchain emerged, we had a little bit of a front run of the hype. Maybe there wasn't so much built back then. In the meantime, we have like a lot of different players in this area providing decentralized solutions and components. But I think what we are still missing at this point and lacking of is bringing all of those different components together to actually build tangible applications for the end user. And I think when we get the end user involved in this, then we will see the next push of this narrative. And I'm looking forward to do so. And yeah, maybe also a few words about myself. I'm Lud, as already said, co-founder at Magnet Labs, and we provide a programmable action agent platform to create, use, and share action agents, which actually can perform blockchain-based tasks based on user intents and natural language.
Thank you, William.
Yeah, so I think that was a great answer. In terms of what I believe decentralized AI is, I don't know, I kind of have like a very broad view that basically anything that is working at like the intersection of AI and blockchain technology counts as decentralized AI to me. I think that honestly, it's not well defined like what the best sort of use cases are or the frameworks are for how blockchain and AI will fit together. I think, we're experimenting, we're improving, and we're getting better, but I don't really want to like put a hard definition on what it will be yet, because I still feel like, there's a lot to be determined. Similar to like, I think it would have been hard to define DeFi, in the first few weeks of DeFi summer or something, right? Is DeFi farming vegetables and stuff like that on chain and for yields? Like, I don't know. So I think just like sort of we've seen DeFi evolve, we'll see decentralized AI evolve, and yeah, I don't want to really put a hard definition on it yet. In terms of like what the landscape is, I guess I sort of spoke on the landscape a little bit just there, but I think like you said, it's sort of, we got a little ahead of ourselves initially in the AI space. Also, and I think that happens anytime there's a new decentralized anything, whether it's DeFi, whether it's play to earn gaming, like everything sort of just gets out of control at first. But we saw like a lot of projects pop up, a lot of over promising, under delivering. And a lot of, I don't know, hype, but at the same time, like hype for, I think, things that, Ocean and Magnet and probably a lot of these people who have been in the space for a long time have already discovered, that these solutions don't work, but then the people were just promising them, having not, gone through the iterations, to find out what the best implementations are. I think right now there's like a lot of really good AI use cases in terms of like autonomous agents, in terms of like intents, and these types of things. And I think that's the way it should be. These are sort of like the easiest places to find the intersection, and that's what we should focus on. And we shouldn't be focused on like trying to bring LLMs on chain yet, or foundational sort of MLM models on chain yet. I think we're not ready for that type of thing. Maybe we'll never be ready. But yeah, basically, I think that we're at the early days, and I'm excited to see like where the industry goes from here. And I think that the only thing that's like 100% for sure is that there's a value at the intersection between the two emerging technologies.
Thank you so much. And actually, you laid the foundation perfectly for my next question, which is, Rome was not built in a day, and we're probably not going to get to fully decentralized AI for 2 years, right? So in your opinion, maybe we can start with you. What do you think are the kind of the problems of centralized AI now that decentralized AI really solves? But also, what are the problems that decentralized AI cannot solve yet, and will probably solve in the future?
Yeah, so centralized AI systems definitely have to face challenges when it comes to centralization of power, centralization of ownership, centralization of data. Most data actually is held by centralized institutions in data silos, and it's not transparent to the user which data is used to actually train a model, etc. And this creates trust issues on the other end. On the other hand, I feel decentralized AI systems still have to fight with scalability issues, maybe. We are not there yet where we can compete with the performance of centralized AI systems. Obviously, a lot of things happened in this area, and we are working to achieve a performance where we actually can compete with these resources that are rather centralized. But I think what's important is maybe to apply an appropriate mixture of off-chain and on-chain resources to actually provide the best of both worlds for a user experience everybody can happily live with, even in a decentralized world. Another issue of decentralized AI, I feel, is still governance. I mean, we know blockchain ecosystems that implement governance processes that play around with this, but I don't want to mention specific names, but even those are not flawless, at least not yet, and still can be manipulated by whales who hold a lot of tokens and so on. So on both sides, there are challenges, and that's why my advice would be at the current stage to actually combine, depending on your use case, what makes most sense from on-chain and off-chain resources.
Yeah, and then you touched on governance, which I mean, we're not going to touch governance because I think we're going to get into a rabbit hole that is not going to end. But yeah, governance is one of those things that really need to be solved in crypto. But back to you, what do you think, William, are the kind of challenges on centralized AI and decentralized AI?
Yeah, I think in terms of like, I don't know, I'm at Oasis, I'm probably biased to always look at like privacy in terms of things. But yeah, I think that centralized AI is limited in terms of which data it can access. You know, like ChatGPT runs on like only openly available data, right? But like the real power in AI is that like will become when like the other 90% of data is unlocked, which is private data. I mean, you can just think about how powerful ChatGPT was, right? And then like imagine like it has access to health records, right? And it can maybe like make inferences on potential, healthcare, but not even just healthcare, right? Like if you get access to genetic data, you might be able to create better medications, not through like language learning models, but through other forms of machine learning, right? Where you can now better predict target areas for vaccines, for pharmacology, economics. We can maybe better predict economic charting and things like that nature. Like there's just so much that can be done. There was a very large project in Web 2 that was getting rid of the idea of credit scores, and it was using AI to decide who gets loans and things of that nature, because it found that credit scores are actually biased and not accurate in terms of like how default rates will work. And as we get access to more and more private data, financial data, stuff like that, then we better create those use cases. But in order to do that, we need to have confidentiality, because that's very, very sort of private and personal data that is valuable too. And so you really can't have that existing in a centralized database. It has to be decentralized. It has to have access controls, things of that nature. Another area for decentralized AI that I think it does better than centralized AI is just like verifiability, right? Like when you run a query on ChatGPT 4, how do you know it's ChatGPT 4, like not ChatGPT 3.5? Like, how do you know that when you're interacting with a language learning model or any sort of AI, that you are actually interacting with the one that you said that you would? That goes for like autonomous agents as well, right? Like autonomous agents would not be very great if you didn't get the autonomous agent that you want and that wasn't verifiable, that like this is the one that I was meant to use and it did things in accordance with the model that it's supposed to run on. And so that's something that I don't think centralized AI has any possibility of ever solving that issue. Like it's just inherent to centralization, and it's the reason why decentralized AI is valuable, and it's coming no matter what, because it's the only way to solve for those two issues.
And it was interesting because if you're looking at, I think I was reading an article from JP Morgan saying that they have about 120 petabyte of data. And if you think about the amount of data that is being logged right now, is absolutely crazy. That's why Ocean, we're working towards unlocking data. But ChatGPT was trained on 1 petabyte, right? And so we've got 1 to 120. So just imagine how much more you can do, right?
Yeah, I believe, at least this is what I've read, is that 90% of all data in the world is private data. So, as powerful as ChatGPT and LLMs and all this have been so far in the last 2 years since they've been launched, just imagine that that's 1/10 of what it could be.
So let's talk about use cases. A tricky question is, obviously, we know that decentralized AI isn't fully there. There's years before we have a fully robust, scalable infrastructure. There's many components that needs to be centralized still if we want to go to fully decentralized. What are some of the use cases, in your opinion, that are successful in crypto, that are AI related? And what are some use cases that we are about to unlock the next 1 or 2 years?
So I think, our partners at Ocean have shown some pretty interesting use cases and shown that they're successful with their price predictions. I think right now they're operating at 55% success rate on price predictions. So, if that was a hedge fund, you got to be billionaires by now. So that's like one really successful area. Another one that I was talking to one of your colleagues about is I can't wait till Predictor expands to like weather data. I think once weather data comes, we unlock weather insurance for real. I know people have tried it in the past, but what I think like Predictor and AI does is it acts as like an actuary for insurance contracts, where you can actually determine the risk of rainfall or drought or earthquakes in a specific area, and that allows you to basically have like a risk score for this insurance contract, and therefore prices and premiums can be established, and it'll work exactly how sort of insurance contracts exist in Web 2 right now, and that's just like with weather, but I'm sure it can be expanded to other types of insurance as well. These are sort of niche, but like on a more general scale, I really like autonomous agents for trading strategies. Someone was talking to me just now about in gaming, they want to build an AI agent in the game where they can create like a bespoke and unique experience for each gamer using AI agents to sort of create the chats for the different NPC players. That sounds really cool. I don't know which one's the most valuable.
There's a long list coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the most valuable use cases are, but like these are the ones that all sound cool to me that I was thinking about today. So they're the ones I'm sharing, but I'm sure there's lots of other ones that are going to unlock a lot more value financially than those.
Yeah, in general, I fully agree with you. AI agents is a super hot topic. I think AI agents will actually be able to close the gap between like the abstract infrastructure level and the application layer, where we actually provide users with a solution to actually utilize AI in a blockchain environment. Obviously, there are many other use cases we could mention between AI and blockchain. I would say enhanced security is one. We can use AI to monitor blockchain behavior and transaction to detect abnormalities, to be preventive, to prevent risks. But also AI-driven smart contracts, I think, is a thing we will see more and more in the future, where smart contracts actually are connected to AI oracles and can basically adapt according to specific events or changing metrics. So there's a lot in this field. What I think is super interesting, we often think about, okay, how can we use blockchain to make AI better? But like, I think it's super interesting to think about how can we utilize AI to actually make blockchain better. You also can improve the user experience with AI agents to provide a simple interface to interact with the blockchain. That's what we are doing, for example, at Magnet Labs with our action agents. And this will provide a lot of value, not just for newcomers to make it easier to onboard to blockchain, but also for experienced crypto users who might want to automate specific processes, who might want to reduce the complexity of specific series of transactions, and so on. So there's a lot to come, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's fantastic, and it's actually, you're right. It's not only crypto for AI, but it's also AI for crypto. Like it's a perfect synergy, right? At this point. Okay, last but not least, I kind of want to go back to the governance topic just for a little minute, and particularly talking about ethics. There's obvious concerns on bias, on centralized AI, lack of transparency. How are we addressing concerns on ethics when it comes to decentralized AI? And maybe you want to talk about governance, how that helps or not, or doesn't help towards this.
I think personally, currently, that's not really a high priority in the decentralized AI field. But I do believe this is definitely needed in the future, especially when we're thinking about permissionless AI systems, where basically end users can provide their data. How do we make sure this data is correct? How can we make sure that this adds value to the model? How can we make sure the data is not manipulated? And it's something we personally don't really mess with yet. We focus on pushing the innovation forward, but there are definitely a lot of issues that have to be solved. Also, exploitation is a big thing on the AI side, but also on the blockchain side. And yeah, we will see how this will evolve, but I think we will figure that out as we go.
Yeah. In terms of like ethics, in terms of like making sure the data is correct so we're not manipulated, I think that's when I talked about verification earlier, that's like a great use case for where decentralized AI comes in, where you can verify the computation was done in the way that you were expected on a data set that you expected. I don't know if that necessarily solves the manipulation issue. I think that's just something that we're just going to have to sort of create defense in depth for. I don't think there's ever going to be like a silver bullet to like protect data from being manipulated. It's just like you can always have attacks on systems, like we see in cybersecurity. Like it's always about like improving your security faster than attackers can improve their attacks. I think it's going to be similar for like data in AI and in terms of manipulation, but in terms of like the ethics of like making sure that your data is being used in the way that you expect it to be used, that the data that you're running on is the data set that you expect it to be running on. Like that's all going to be done through verification. Oasis' sort of contention is that should be through trusted execution environment, remote attestations. But there's other people that are doing ZK stuff in that realm. I think we're at the very early days for that. And as you said, like it's probably not a priority right now. Unfortunately, sometimes the most important things are not priorities because they're not the most valuable, and they almost sort of stall innovation because you're trying to solve these other issues before the innovation takes place. So sort of we have to move fast and break things and then repair them is sort of my thought there. But I do think that blockchain plays a role in the future of the ethics and the future of sort of having higher fidelity AI.
I fully agree, guys. I fully agree with all you said. All right, I think we can kind of wrap it here. Thanks, William. Thanks, Ludwig. Just on the last note, I would say the winner of the hackathon will be announced on the 11th of November. There's also going to be more announcements coming out, so just make sure you follow us on Twitter. We're going to be dropping some really nice alpha. There's a nice, really big event happening in November in DEF CON too. So yeah, stay in the loop, and thanks for coming again. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for hosting.
Good job, guys. Thanks so much. Right? Yeah.